Yeah, so hello everyone. Welcome to another interesting session of the Astro Club. So from today, we're going to start a very new and interesting concept. So that is aircraft fundamentals. Okay. And you can consider this as a small course because this is the part one. Today, we're going to discuss a few topics of aircraft fundamentals. So it is part one. And in the coming sessions, we'll be discussing the remaining topics. So it goes on like a course. For the next 2 or 3 weeks also, we'll be concentrating on these aircraft fundamentals. Okay, is it clear? Am I clear to everyone?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. So I want you all to pay your full attention and concentration while listening to this because these are the very important concepts that you need to know. Okay, and at the end of the session, you must be able to say at least 1 or 2 points of what you have learned today. Okay, am I clear? Yeah. So now listen, it's very interesting and very easy topic. So if you have any doubts anywhere, you can ask. So moving on to today's session, this is aircraft fundamentals part 1. So all of you know what an aircraft is, right? Aircraft is nothing but a plane like this. You might have seen it. Did you all see a plane anytime?
Yes,
Yeah, so that is called an aircraft. So today we are going to first of all learn what are the parts and elements of an aircraft. If you want to note it down, you can just have a small paper or any book with you. So you can just write down the important points. Okay, so that during the Kahoot session, if you want to answer, then you can refer to that and you can just study once. Okay, if you're interested, you can just jot down the points. Yeah, so now we are going to discuss about the parts and elements of an aircraft. We'll discuss about each and every part in detail. So first of all, if you can see in this picture, there are a lot of parts in an aircraft. If you can see here, we have the wing, we have the fuselage, we have the cabin, we have the engine. Okay, we have the flight deck, the fin, the rudder, the elevator, the flaps, the aileron. So you have many parts. We'll discuss about each and every part in detail, don't worry. So moving on to the first part. So the first part is fuselage. We pronounce it as fuselage, okay?
Okay, Akka.
We pronounce it as fuselage. So what is fuselage? The body of the plane is called fuselage. So this is a plane. So this is the body of the plane. The middle part here, the body. The body of the plane is called as fuselage. So the pilots sit at the front of the fuselage. So the pilots sit here at the front of the fuselage, they sit and they operate the entire aircraft. Okay. So you can consider the fuselage to be the central body of the aircraft. Did you all understand? It is a central body, the middle part here. Are you all able to understand?
Yes, Akka.
Yeah, keep responding
Yes,
so that I can
Akka.
know whether you're able to understand or not. So the fuselage is a central body of the aircraft and it accommodates the crew and the payload. So what do you mean by crew? Crew means the passengers who travel. All of us come under crew. When we're traveling in an aircraft, we come under crew. Okay, and what are payloads? So payloads means all the luggage or anything which the aircraft is carrying is called as the payload. So this fuselage accommodates the crew and the payload. Okay, and it also attaches to the rest of the components. If you can see, the wings, the tail, and everything, all the other parts are attached to the fuselage. Okay, all the other parts are connected or are attached to the fuselage. Did you understand this point?
Yes, Akka. Akka, can you tell once again? I didn't understand.
About what? I mean, which concept did you not understand? Mahesh, which concept you didn't understand?
Akka, about the fuselage.
What, Mahesh?
Akka, about fuselage, Akka.
Okay, fuselage. See, the central body of the aircraft is called as fuselage. The middle one here. In the pictures you just observed, the body of the aircraft is called as a fuselage. And it accommodates the crew and the payload. So what is crew? Crew is nothing but like all the cabin members which are there, and all the air hostess and everyone, all of them come on the crew. And the payload means the cargo and everything. I mean, the passengers, the luggage that it carries. So all of that is called as the payload.
Okay, Akka.
Okay. So this fuselage accommodates the crew and payload, and it also attaches to the rest of the components. What are the other components here? The wing, the tail, all of them are attached to the
fuselage.
Okay. Is it clear to everyone about fuselage?
Yes, Akka. Yes, Akka.
So now, moving on to the next. So the shape of the fuselage is determined by the mission of the aircraft. So all the planes, I mean, all the aircrafts do not have the same fuselage. So different aircrafts have different types of fuselage. So the shape of the fuselage is determined by the mission of the aircraft. Okay, these are the different shapes of the fuselage which are possible. You can see in the picture here. So they vary depending upon the mission. So that is about fuselage. Is it clear to everyone?
Okay. Yes, Akka. Yes, Akka.
Okay. So now moving on to the second part of the aircraft, that is wings. So in the picture you can see these are the wings. So wings are used to provide lift to the aircraft. So what do you mean by lift here? So lift is nothing but the upward movement of the aircraft. So aircraft has to fly higher in the air. Am I right?
Yes, Akka.
Yes, the aircraft has to fly in the air higher into the sky. So that process of movement of aircraft upwards is called as lift. So the wings help to provide lift to the aircraft. Okay, that is the first use of wings. Then these wings have an aerodynamic cross section which is called as airfoil. See, so these wings have a small part which is attached to it. See, this is a wing. Observe this picture I'm drawing here. This is the wing. So to this wing, a small extra part is attached here. See here, this black one here. Are you able to see? This one.
Yes, Akka.
This whole thing is the wing, and here's one small black color thing is attached. So that is called as airfoil. That small attachment is called as airfoil. So the airfoil is used in the wings to get more lift and reduce the drag. So in order to produce more lift, the airfoil is necessary. Okay.
Okay.
They reduce the drag and increase the lift. So what do you mean by drag? Drag means the opposing force to the movement of aircraft is called as drag. So when the aircraft is moving, some force keep on opposing the aircraft. For example, air keeps on opposing the airplane. Am I right? When the airplane is moving frontwards, from the front in the opposite direction, the air comes and it opposes the aircraft. Are you able to understand?
Yes, Akka. Yes, Akka. Yes, Akka.
So that opposing force is called as drag. That opposing force is called as drag. So what the aeroplane must do? it should overcome the drag and it should get more lift. It should fly higher up in the air. So for that purpose, in order to produce more lift, airfoil is used in the wings.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So this is about wings, second part, wings. Is it clear to everyone about wings?
Yes, Akka.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, moving on to the next third part, that is tail or empennage. We can call the tail of the aircraft as empennage also.
Okay, Akka.
So here you can identify the tail. These are the tails here. I'm marking now. See, this is a tail, empennage. This
Okay,
one.
Akka.
So that one is called as the empennage. So moving on to the tail. It provides stability to the aircraft. That is the first use of tail. So tail provides stability to the aircraft. It has several vertical and horizontal stabilizing surfaces. See, in this picture, if you can see, it has several horizontal and vertical stabilizing surfaces. Okay.
Okay, Akka.
Okay, Akka.
So main aim of the tail or the main use of tail is to provide stability to the aircraft. And there are several tail configurations. I mean, for all the aircrafts, the shape of the tail is not the same. Again, depending upon the mission, the shape of the tail changes. See, in this picture, you can see several tail configurations. Means there are different types of tails, depending on
Okay,
the
Akka.
purpose of the aircraft or depending upon the mission of the aircraft. So this is about tail.
Okay, Akka.
Did you all understand about tail?
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Akka.
The third part, that is tail, or we can call it as, what can we call it as?
Empennage.
Empennage.
Empennage. Okay.
Empennage.
Yeah. So we learned about three parts: fuselage, wings, and tail or
Wings,
empennage.
Tail or empennage.
Okay. So now we are going to move on to the fourth part of aircraft, fourth important part, that is propulsion engines. So if you can see in the aircraft, at the sides of the aircraft, you can see something like this, a fan kind of thing.
Yes,
Did you
Akka.
observe any
Like
time?
fan, ma.
Yes,
Yeah,
Akka.
it looks like fan. So that is called as a propulsion engine. So what is the main aim of propulsion engine? What's the main role of it? So these engines mix the air from the exterior. So from the outside, the air comes into these engines. So these engines mix that air with the fuel. So inside the aircraft, already there is fuel. So from outside the aircraft, air is entering. So these propulsion engines mix that air with the fuel and then they burn the mixture. Okay. Did
Okay.
you understand what is the role of propulsion engine?
Yes, Akka.
Yeah.
Yes,
they,
Akka.
and then they burn the mixture. And also they transmit the rotational motion into thrust. So while the propulsion engine is rotating, it possesses rotational motion. Okay. Slowly it converts the rotational motion into thrust. So what do you mean by thrust? Thrust means the force which is necessary for the movement of aircraft. For the aircraft to move, some force has to be applied. Am I right or not?
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Akka.
In your home, if you want to move a chair, what do? You apply force on the chair.
Force.
Similarly, for the aircraft to move, force must be applied. So that force is called thrust. So this propulsion engine transforms the rotational motion into thrust. And then the force is applied on the aircraft and then the aircraft moves upwards. Did you understand this concept?
Yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
Okay. So now there are different types of propulsion engines like turbojet, turbofan, turboprop, afterburning turbojet. So there are different types of propulsion engines. Okay. So now, yeah. Any doubt?
Yes, Akka. Can you keep the different types of
Different types of propulsion engines? Yeah.
Yes, Akka.
That is turbojet, turbofan, turboprop, and afterburning turbojet. And also one more important point, these propulsion engines work on the principle of Newton's third law. What is Newton's third law? Can anyone of you say? What is Newton's third law? I think still you may not have idea about it. Do anyone of you know what is Newton's third law?
No, Akka. No, Akka.
No,
Okay.
Akka.
Okay, you will learn it in the higher classes. In physics, you will get a concept like Newton's third law, then you will learn. But just remember, these propulsion engines work on the principle of Newton's third law.
Okay, Akka.
Yeah, so now we have completed the first, basic elements, basic parts and elements of aircraft. We discussed about fuselage and then the wings, then the tail or empennage, then propulsion engine.
Propulsion engine.
Yeah, so what are all of these? These are the parts of aircraft.
Parts of
Aeroplane.
aircraft.
Yeah, parts of aircraft. Now, we are moving on to classification of aircrafts. So now until now we have looked at the different parts of aircraft. So now we are looking at the different types of aircrafts. Okay, the classification of aircrafts. So the first classification of aircrafts is general aviation aircraft. So these general aviation aircraft, they are used for civil purposes. Okay, like business jets, means like private flights, private flights, all the big
Yes,
CEOs,
Akka.
all the big people, they have private flights.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah, so the business jets, the planes which are used for flight training, and then the recreational aircrafts, means when we want to go on holiday somewhere, we use recreational aircraft like for just wandering in the sky and all of those. The flights which are used for flight training. So these are some examples of general aviation aircrafts. So they are mainly light in weight. Okay. They're not so heavy. They're just light in weight. So here are two pictures of general aviation aircrafts.
Okay.
You can get one example like on the top of homes, we have helipad, right? Some big people like big businessmen, they have helipads on the top of their homes. Yeah, and small helicopters will be landing on that helipad.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah, those all come under general aviation aircrafts. Okay?
Okay, Akka. Okay, Akka.
Yeah. So now moving on to the second type of aircraft. So the second type of aircraft is commercial aircraft. So these commercial aircrafts are used to transport passengers or cargo. Okay, they are the scheduled airline services. Like they have a particular time in which time they should operate. So they are scheduled airline services. Okay, and they have definite routes for their operation. So in the sky, in the air, they have particular route. They should go in that route only. If they deviate the route, again, a problem occurs. So they are mainly national or international flights. And also they consume less amount of fuel and they have high payload capacity. So these are the properties of commercial aircrafts. So you can give some examples of commercial aircrafts, like which we travel normally when we want to go to faraway places. Some companies, some examples can you give?
Air India.
India.
Yeah.
Akka, Indigo.
Yeah, Air India, Indigo, Air Asia, all of these. Yeah, SpiceJet, good. So each country has their own aircrafts. For example, Qatar Airways, Singapore Airlines, like Emirates for Dubai, and all of this. Like each country has their own commercial aircrafts. Okay.
Okay.
So these are all the properties of commercial aircrafts. Now, moving on to the third type of aircraft, that is military aircraft. So they are fast, they are highly responsive, and they have high speed. Okay, these military aircrafts use advanced technologies, and a lot of investment is made on them because they are very important aircrafts for the security of the country. Okay, these
Yes,
are very
Akka.
important for the security of the country. And they
Okay,
are mainly
Akka.
used to destroy the enemy equipment. So why we use military aircraft? Not to destroy the
To destroy
enemies.
the enemy equipment.
Enemies.
Yeah. So see, these are some pictures of the military aircraft.
And to protect our country.
Yeah, yeah. And there are different types of military aircraft. For example, attack aircraft. Attack aircraft means they're used to directly attack the enemies. Bomber aircraft. So bomber aircraft means they used to like
launch bombs.
deploy the bombs. Yeah. And then fighter aircraft. And then we have transport aircraft. And then spy aircraft. Spy aircraft means they used to directly go and spy on the enemies. Like what are their plans if you want to know. And all of that.
Yes, Akka.
So these are the different types of military aircrafts.
Akka, can you keep the different types of aircraft?
Yeah.
Akka, one man keep like that only.
Yeah, yeah. So today we discussed about the parts of aircrafts, like the fuselage, wings, the tail or empennage, and then the
Propulsion engines.
propulsion engines. Yeah, and then that is the first part, and then we talked about the classification of
Classifications
aircraft,
of aircraft.
the general aviation aircrafts, commercial aircrafts, and military aircrafts.
Military aircraft.
Again, in military aircrafts, there are different types of military aircrafts. Okay, is it completed? Noting now.
Yes, Akka.
Okay. So now,
Come on, can you keep
yeah,
military aircraft?
yeah. So did you all understand what we discussed today?
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Akka.
Yeah.
Thanks, Akka.
Yeah. Now what I want you all to do is close your books. If you have noted something, just close your books. And now I want each and every one of you to just like give 1 point of what you have learned. Okay, you can just unmute your mic and we can just give a point. If possible, you can turn on your video and you can say. Okay, any 1 point. Yeah, Ramsaran, go ahead.
Yes, Akka, we learned about parts of the aircraft like propulsion engines, tail of the aircraft, and more about the aircraft, Akka.
Okay.
Akka, can I tell?
Yeah.
Okay, so we learned about classification of aircraft. So there are 3 types of aircraft: commercial aircraft, military aircraft, or general aviation aircraft.
Okay. Next.
Akka, and first part of the aircraft is fuselage.
Okay. What have you learned about fuselage?
Ma'am, Akka, fuselage is a large part where passengers are being seated, staff, and the pilots are sitting in the front, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Next.
I also tell that only, Akka.
Okay. Any other point?
Yes, Akka, airplane works on Newton third law.
Yeah. Propulsion engines work
Akka,
on Newton's
military
airplane
Yeah,
also.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Next.
Can I tell about the types of military aircraft?
Yeah, you can.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. You can say.
Okay. So the types of military aircraft are transport aircraft, spy aircraft, fighter aircraft, bomber aircraft, and attack aircraft.
Yeah, good. Next.
Akka, can I tell about the propulsion engines?
Yeah.
Akka, propulsion engines are the engines which is used to lift the aircraft.
Okay. Can anyone tell the process of how the propulsion engine works? I mean, what is the role of propulsion engine?
Akka, they mix the air from the
Akka,
exterior.
they mix the air from the outside air and with the fuel, Akka.
With the fuel. Okay. And then they burn it. And then they burn it also.
Burn them and make it into mixture.
Yeah.
Akka, they make them into the thrust.
Yeah. The rotational motion is converted into thrust. Okay. Any other point anyone wants to add? Can anyone talk about tail or empennage? About tail? Or about wings?
Akka, it provides stability to the aircraft.
Okay. Next.
Akka, different tail configurations are depends on the aircraft. Akka.
Yeah,
Different
depends
types
on the
of
mission
aircraft.
of aircraft and all. Okay. So I hope you have all understood today's session. Is it interesting?
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Akka.
Yeah. So you can
Yes,
just,
Akka.
yeah, you can consider this as a course because this is just a part 1. Still we have part 2, part 3, like that we'll be discussing several topics on aircraft fundamentals. Okay, so by next class, if any of your friends are interested, you can ask them also to join. Okay.
Okay, Akka.
Okay,
Yeah.
Akka.
Okay, Akka.
Okay. Any more doubts?
No, Akka.
No
No,
doubts,
Akka.
Akka.
Okay. Okay, so that's all for today's session. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you.